Good afternoon to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for the 31st of July, 2015. Taking a look at what we've got out in the Atlantic Basin, not much to talk about. Invest area 94L sitting out here to the southwest of the Cape Verde Islands. Chances of development have been reduced by the National Hurricane Center and good old Mother Nature herself down to 10%. Just not much happening with this system due to unfavorable conditions in the tropical Atlantic. You can even see on this satellite picture sort of this leading edge of very dry, stable air rolling off of Africa. These Saharan air layer outbreaks quite literally smother a system in dryness, and you need a lot of moisture in the environment for a hurricane to develop at all. And we just don't see that in place right now, so this really doesn't have a chance to develop. Stalled frontal boundary across portions of the western Atlantic, weak low pressure here off the Carolinas, maybe some weak low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico, but nothing organized and nothing intensifying over the next several days, so no worries there. In the eastern Pacific, we do have something to watch of significance, and that is Hurricane Guillermo, sitting out here well to the southwest of the Baja. It is moving off to the northwest right now. And if we click on our wonderful Storm Pulse Risk Pulse map, you can see this is the forecast track over the next several days, aimed in the general direction of Hawaii overall. And while that can be alarming, right now I would say that's just something to watch. Really not much to worry about for the time being. And there are several reasons behind that. The first of which, this is several days away. And a lot can happen with not only the intensity of this system, but of course the forecast track itself. First, let's go back. I want to show you something in the Atlantic Basin, and then we're going to look at the evolution of what may happen with Guillermo. This is the tropical wave. This is 94L, believe it or not, out in the Atlantic. This is the 850 millibar chart, or about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. Not much of a signature, barely shows up with its vorticity or spin or energy. Only a little bit of a perturbation, if you will, in the wind field out here. So it shows me that this is not very strong, and we can see that on satellite. We don't need a computer model analysis to really confirm it, but this just helps to illustrate the point. And as we go out into time over the next several hours, this is 24 hours out, and just keep moving on out into time to 48 hours or so. Here it is, still very weak, several hundred to probably 1,000 miles plus east of the Lesser Antilles, moving on out to 72 hours and beyond. Again, sort of an elongated area of low pressure, overall very weak, not much signature at the 850 millibar level. And so we really don't see it developing much. And then by the time we get to 96 hours, it's virtually absorbed into the trade winds down here. Just a very weak reflection, no problems at all. We also don't see any areas of organized vorticity or spin anywhere near the United States. So that's good news as we go through the weekend. On the other hand, this is what we look for when we look for a tropical cyclone in the 850 millibar chart. Now this is the area of Hawaii right here, the Hawaiian Islands. This is a nice area of high pressure right here to the north of Guillermo, which is right here. And you notice it's nice and round, a little bit oval shaped, but overall it has got a very well defined signature. And as we play this through the next 7 days, you see it approaches Hawaii here, moving right along, steadily moving its way towards the Hawaiian Islands, south of this ridge of high pressure up here. And it goes to the north just by a little bit in this particular run of the GFS model. But you also see how it maintains a pretty decent shape, lots of energy and vorticity associated with it over time. And finally there at the end of the forecast cycle, going out to about 7 days here, it scoots on to the north of the Hawaiian Islands. But you see it's starting to weaken a little bit. It doesn't look nearly as robust as it does now, or in between now and then. Okay, so why is that the case? Well, we can go and look at the 200 millibar winds. This is going up in the atmosphere. And let's look at day 6 just as an example here. Center the image. First of all, you don't see the hurricane showing up in the 200 millibar field at all. So that means the circulation is not reaching that high in the atmosphere. So that's good news. Secondly, notice this band of very strong winds to the north of Hawaii. That is your shearing wind at 200 millibars out of the west, even here out of the southwest, 5 to 10 knots or so. Yeah, kind of light, but right near Hawaii, those winds really increase. And as we go to day, let's see, that was day 6. Let's just look at day 7. And this really illustrates the point here that despite warm water temperatures reaching all the way north of Hawaii right now, this whole region warmer than it should be water temperature-wise, the upper level winds very strong, 30 knots of southwesterly winds going across the top of what would be a weakening hurricane here coming in from the southeast. And I mean, let me just draw that for you. Let's assume that this is the track right here of Guillermo, that this is spot on, and that it's heading in this direction. All right? So that's there, and then across the top of that, you would have southwesterly winds, and if the track is like this, yeah, you see this intersection right here. That's not good for tropical cyclones at all. And I laugh because it's obvious, and so this is what's mentioned in the National Hurricane Center discussion. This can change, certainly, but overall, the prevailing westerlies are sitting up here, streaking in towards California, and the Hawaiian Islands are probably going to be okay. Even if this were to come in a little bit more to the south or go right over the top of Hawaii, I think these upper level winds will be the saving grace. But I caution you, this is still several days away, and we know that things can change, and even a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm coming into Hawaii is nothing to take lightly. The wind would be a problem, especially at elevation, the enhanced rainfall. So this is certainly something to watch. I'm not trying to diminish it to nothing, but we don't want to make more of it than it actually is with the evidence that we have in front of us of what the forecast models are showing for the future. So if you're in Hawaii, you have interest in Hawaii, or you're going to Hawaii, or you just like looking at Hawaii, whatever the case may be, keep an eye on Guillermo, and I like rolling those L's. That's an easy one. And just see what happens over the next several days. In all likelihood, it will not be a major disaster looming, but it is certainly something to keep an eye on. The Atlantic Basin, on the other hand, pretty much dead for the foreseeable future. Alrighty, well, that is it from me for today. I'll be back over the weekend, sometime tomorrow, sometime Sunday, with an update on what's going on in the Pacific with our hurricane out there and our interest in Hawaii. Otherwise, have a great rest of your Friday, and as always, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll talk to you a couple of more times over the weekend.